Welcome to another important module of Power BI course in which we will be talking about ETL pipeline. Basically, ETL stands for extract, transform, and load. So these are three different parts, three different processes, three different operations that we have to perform. So we'll look into each operation one by one. First, we'll have a look into extract, then transform, and then load. So once all these three operations will be learned and we'll combine these three operations, it will become ETL pipeline. So first of all, in extract operation, before we talk about extract operation, so this is going to be our objective. We'll talk about how to extract data, how to transform data, and finally how to load the data. Now, for data extraction, we have multiple type of data extraction. For example, sometimes we have data available in multiple tables, and you have already seen that, right? So we mostly have data available in multiple tables, and you already know how to import the data from multiple tables. If we have one file, but the data is divided into multiple tables, then how we can import the data from those multiple tables. But the question is how we can combine the data from those multiple tables. This is a question. We can surely create models, we can surely create relationships between the tables depending upon the learning so far we have completed. But what if in every sheet we have similar kind of a data and we want to merge, we want to combine those sheets? How to do that? We'll see that. Then how to combine the data that is coming from multiple sources. For example, we have one Excel file, we have one CSV file, maybe another SQL database, and some other data source. So how we can combine multiple data sources in order to make one file, in order to make one data source. And then we'll see how to get data from multiple files. For example, if we have 10 CSV files, or if we have 15 Excel files, how to fetch data from all those multiple files and then combine that data together, right? And what if in data we have different number of columns? Let's say we have 10 files. In 10 files, the number of columns are different. Remember, I'm saying number of columns are different, not names of column, right? If names of columns are different, then you have to change the names first. But if the number of columns are different, then how to combine such data? For example, what is the use case? For example, if you own a store, or you're working in a company that owns a store, a chain of stores at multiple locations, and every location is sending their data in terms of one separate file or one separate table, right? So now you'll be having multiple files, and now you want to perform some statistical analysis, some visualization on that data. How would you join that data? So this discussion comes under the umbrella of data extraction. So this is called data extraction. Once data extraction is done, then we go for data transformation. Data transformation has several steps. It has several operations to be done. For example, we filter the data. We only keep the data in which we are interested. We sort the data, sometimes according to the date, sometimes according to the client names, depending upon our priority. We group and aggregate the data depending upon the operations that we perform. We merge and append the data we have learned previously. We split the column, or sometimes we combine multiple columns. Sometimes we split one column into multiple columns, and sometimes we combine multiple columns into one column, right? Depending upon the need. So what if the date is available in multiple column? One column is there for the date, and the next column is one column is there for the day, then the next column is there for the month, and then the next column is there for the year, and you want the complete date in one column. So you'll combine those columns. How to combine those columns? We'll see that. Data type conversion. Sometimes the column type is not properly allocated, so you can change the data type as well. Apart from that, we can handle null values or missing values as well. Sometimes we get a lot of missing values or null values in the data. How to deal with such data? We'll see that. Calculating new columns. We have already seen that in DAX module, how we can calculate new columns, right? So this part is already done. How to remove the duplicate values. Sometimes accidentally or maybe consciously, data is duplicately entered into the data file, or maybe the branches of the store that are working at different locations, they are entering the same data. So how you can remove the duplicates? We'll see that. conditional transforming, we want to transform the data depending upon some condition. We'll see how we can do that. And then we have some text and string manipulation, how we can do that, we'll see. And finally, we'll talk about date and time transformations as well. Some of these transformations we have already had looked into it in the DAX module. Rest of the transformations we will see. So once data is extracted, then the data is transformed, and then loading the data is not an issue. You just have to click one button and data will be loaded. Alright, so for example, here I have 8 CSV files that I want to load and combine in my Power BI. For example, I have 8 stores at different locations and they're sending me data in each file. So how can I do that? So first of all, I'll go to my Power BI. I'll say get data from here, and it will open up a dialog box, and from here I'll click on folder, right? So I want to import the complete folder, and remember, it will create a complete connection between folder and Power BI. Any change in the folder will be detected over here whenever I'll refresh my data from here, right? So I'll go over here, I'll simply copy this path, and I'll come over here, I'll paste the path over here, or otherwise I can go and browse that particular folder from here as well. Both options are available. So I'll click OK, and it will take some time. So here we go. So here we know what is this load option. This transform data option, will discover what it is later on, and we are interested in this combine option for now. So if I'll click over here, it gives me two options: combine and transform data, or combine and load. For now, we are going to go and combine. We are going to go for combine and load, right? So I'll click on combine and load, and it will take some time to load and combine the data. Here you just click OK for now. We'll talk about it later on what it is, and it is taking some time for query to be executed. Here we go. So here we can see one file, not multiple files, right? And 4 columns over here. If we go back and we have a look into any of these files, we have only 3 columns, right? Date column, client column, and sales in million. But here we have 4 columns: client, date, sales in million, and one more column that says source name. So if we go to here in data view, we can see we have date, client, sales in million, and source name. So it mentions that which record is coming from which file, right? So these first records are coming from April 2020.csv file, and then later these later records are coming from August 2020.csv, and so on and so forth, right? You can also delete this column if you want, right? So moreover, here you can see it says we have 80 rows over here. Okay, so I'll come over here, and I have this option to refresh my visuals as well. So what if I simply pick a card over here, right? And I want to display the sales here, sum of the sales, right? So it says that first sales in million. No, I want to display okay, so actually the sales are mentioned in million as well. So I need to change the data type of, since you can see it is in text, I need to convert it into integer. But in order to convert it into integer, I need to separate this M from 38. Now how to do this thing? You will practically have a look at it in later on when we'll be transforming the data, right? How you can separate the columns. So for now, I'm just gonna leave it as it is, and that's it. That's how you can work. Moreover, if I come over here, you can see it says 80 rows. Now if I come over here, I simply copy and paste this file over here, and I'll come back, and here it is again saying 80 because we have not refreshed the data. So I'll come over here, I'll say refresh, and it is, you can see, refreshing the whole folder, and then now it says 90 rows, right? Previously it was 80 rows. So if I come over here in data view, now you can see 90 rows, right? So this is how you can work with with multiple CSV files, if how you can work with the multiple files that are coming from the same source. Now how to work with the multiple files that are coming from different source, we'll have a look into that thing as well. Okay, now what if we have data from multiple sources? Here we have data in Excel file .xlsx format. Here we have the data in CSV format, right? But remember, the number of columns and the name of columns are exactly same in both of the file formats, right? We'll also see how to work with the different number of columns, but for now, for the sake of simplicity, for the sake of understanding, we will assume that the number of columns and the names of column are similar in both of the different files. So I'll come to Power BI again. I'll say import data from Excel. I'll go to my relevant file. So I'll go to this folder, and that says April 2020.xlsx. So it will load this data, and simply as usual, we load the data. We are loading the data. So far we'll simply load the data over here, and this will be shown in the form of a table over here. And after that, now we have to load CSV file separately, right? So here we can see that this data is available, right? This is the data from Excel file. Now I'll come over here, get data. From here I'll choose CSV, text or CSV, and I'll come to the same folder. Here I have, or I can go to any other folder as well. Here I have that CSV file, right? So I'll open it, and it will be opened up over here. I'll again say load, and let me just minimize this existing file. So again, 10 rows are added. So now we have two files over here, April and March. Now these are, both of the files are coming from different sources. One is coming from CSV, the other one is coming from Excel, but here they both are available in the form of table of Power BI. Now we want to merge both of these tables, right? How we can do that? We'll simply right click over here. We'll say edit query, right? This option, edit query. We'll go over there, or there is another option called transform data. We can also go for transform data, this option as well, right? So since we have gone for new query, it has opened up a new window for us over here. And now what we'll do, we'll say append queries over here, right? Drop down, we'll say append query as new, right? We want to create a new table that is dependent upon both of these tables. So a dialog box will be opened up over here. It asks me if I have two tables or more than, or two tables, or I have three or more tables. Since I have two tables, so I'll select one table from here, and then the second table from here, and I'll say okay. Also, I'll change the name of these files from here. So I'll say append different formats or different sources or whatever formats. Cool. I'll hit enter, and here we go. Now I have 20 rows over here. Each file had 10 rows. Now here I have 20 rows. The next thing that I'll do is I'll say close and apply. The option over here at top left, I'll simply apply this option, and the data will be loaded over here in a while. Here we go, right? So I have the original column, original tables as well that I can delete like this. I can say delete from model, right? And it will ask me for confirmation. I'll say yes. Okay. And also same goes out for the second table as well. I can delete this second table as well, and I have this first table over here ready for me, right? So this is how you can import multiple file formats, and you can combine multiple file formats as well. Okay, now imagine we have one Excel file that has multiple tables, but these multiple tables has different number of columns, right? For example, here this January file has date, client, and sales in million column. February has exactly the same column, but March has different number of columns. The remarks column is extra over here. Rest of three columns are same. And April table again has the similar column. May table again has similar, and June table again has different number of column, and this is the profit column, right? So overall two columns are different in all these 6 files. So how can we deal with this? What if we want to import all these 6 files and we want to combine the data that is available over here, right? So we'll see how we can do that. So we'll say import data from Excel files, since it is one Excel file. So I'll simply import it. I'll open it up, and it will load as usual. Most of the stuff is the usual stuff that we are doing so far. Here it will ask me to load the table. Which tables do I want to load? So I'll say I want to load this table, this one, this one, this one, this one, and finally this one, right? So I want to load these tables. So here you can see the March table. It has an extra column over here. The My table has only 3 columns, and so on and so forth, right? So I'll simply load this data over here. So this data will be loaded shortly. Let's wait for it. And so far it is saying that you have not loaded any data yet. So here we go. The data loading has been started, and the data is loaded over here, right? So if I go to the data view, and it shows me 3 columns but not the data. So here we go, we have the data over here for the April table, and if I go to the March table, I have 4 columns. If I go to the May table, I again have 3 columns. For June, I again have 4 columns, right? So now I want to append the data just like before. So what I'll do is I'll come over here, right click, I'll come to the option edit query, right? And then click over here. It will open up the Power Query editor for us, and where we can transform the data as well. But we're going to talk about data transformation from next video. For now, we are just gonna append the data, right? So here we have all the tables, and we can check out the tables as well, right? So now we'll say append query, drop down, append query as new, and it will open up a dialog box that says 2 tables or 3 or more than 3. So we'll say 3 or more than 3. So here my table has already selected, so we'll select rest of the tables, double click, or maybe single click, and then you can add it from here, right? Double click is more feasible, and then March, right? So I have all 6 tables over here, and then I'll say okay. Now it will append all the data over here. Now you can see we have 60 rows, because in each table we had 10 rows, right? Now what is different? Date column was same, so you can see the data is perfect over here. Client column was same, data is perfect over here. Sales column was same, so data is also perfect over here. But the profit column is not same, right? It was there in one file, but it was not there in more than one file. It was not there for the rest of the files. So where this profit column was not available, they have presented null over here, and wherever the profit was available, the data is available, right? And here you can see the remarks column as well, that where the data was available, they have given the remarks. Where data was not available, they have written null over here, right? So what is the next step? Next step is you can simply go ahead and load the data from here, close and apply. But before that, you can see we have 38M, and it is in the format of this column is text format, right? What if we want to apply some analysis on this column, some statistical analysis, some data visualizations over here? So, and I want to separate this M from this digit. How can I do that? This is the part of data transformations. So we'll talk about data transformation in depth in upcoming video. So let's wait. Let me quickly show you a glimpse of data transformation over here. We'll talk about data transformation in depth later on, but for now I want to do 2 things. One is I want to remove these null values from here. I want to replace these null values in the profit column with 0, right? So I'll go over here in transform tab actually. I'll come to this replace value option, and it will open up a dialog box for me. So here it says that value to find, so I want to find null values, and I want to replace null values with 0, right? I'll click OK, and null values are replaced with 0. So there is no null value. So wherever the profit was null, I've made it equal to 0. And then wherever remarks are null, let me replace those null remarks, missing value remarks, with the empty space, right? Simply empty space. So I'll click OK over here, and here we go. So remarks are gone. Or perhaps you can replace these null remarks with, let's say, we'll say wherever you find no value over here, replace it with no comments or no remarks, right? Whatever you want to write over here. So I'll say OK, and here we go. No comments, no comments, no comments. But here we have the comments, and you can see that, right? Cool. Now the next thing is we want to split this column into multiple columns, right? So I'll come over here at Home tab, and I have this option called split column, right? So I'll come over here. I want to split it by a delimiter. So one consistency that I can see over here, let me simply close it for a minute. So one consistency that I can see over here, there is a space between the integer, the digit, and the million m, right? There is a space. So I can separate this column based upon space. So I'll come to delimiter, and by default it is suggesting me to split the column based upon space. You can see over here, right? So I'll go for space, and here it is asking me, you want to split it at each occurrence of delimiter, or from the leftmost, or from the rightmost, and so on and so forth. For now we'll simply go with this option. I'll talk about each option in detail. I'll come to OK. Here we go. So now 38, 30, 81, these things are different, and m has gone to a different column. I can simply come over here. I can remove this column because I don't need that. Over here it is already mentioned that sales in million, right? So I don't have to, mention m over here, right? It is already in millions. Moreover, I just want to remove this one from here, and that's it, right? I'll double click over here. It will open up an editor, and I can change the name of the column, and you can see it has automatically detected the data type of this column to be the integer, to be the number, right? Now I have this data perfect and ready, so I'll say close and apply, and I'll go to close and apply. So this is how, this was a proper use case where we extracted the data, and data had multiple columns, and we solved the mystery of multiple columns first, and then we applied some data transformation steps in which we transformed the data. We replaced the null values, we splitted the column depending upon our need, and now we have data over here. The column, the table name is now append1. It should have been a different name. We can rename the table from here. We can say, let's say, merged data, right? I'll click enter, and the name would be changed in a minute. Here we go. So here we have the merged data, and now if I bring the card over here, right, and I bring the sales in million over here, and here we go. You can see it is showing the sum of sales in million. Previously, in 2 videos back, it was not showing the sum of the sales. Why? Because it was in text, and now it is not in text anymore. It is an integer, so we can perform all the statistical analysis over here. We can find the average of the sale is as well, that is 40.57. We can find out the minimum sale as well, so on and so forth, right? So this is how we can transform the data as well. We'll talk about further data transformations as well in upcoming videos. Okay, so we started talking about splitting the columns, so let's work more on splitting the column. And first of all, we'll import more data, and there will be a new thing over here. So this is the old data with which we were working so far, the orders data, and that has a lot of columns over here, and we'll check this checkbox from here. If you will simply select the table from here, the options will not be accessible for you over here. So you first have to select the table with which you want to work. Now you will so far we were working with the load data, right? Now we are going for transformation of data, right? Previously we have worked with the query, the power query, that is basically transformation of data that we have worked so far. And this kind of window opened last time as well. So basically this is transformation window that is technically called as Power Query Editor. So here you can transform your data before you load it into your actual environment. Now let me just give you a little bit of overview of this window. That is a new window. So here at right hand side you can see applied steps. I have just loaded this data, but why are these steps? I have not applied any of those. So these are the steps that are applied in default for you guys. What are those steps? For example, This step says that promoted headers, right? The first row will be promoted to headers by default. If you you look into one of our previous modules where first row was not considered as the header, by default we had to write the column names in header by ourselves, right? So why it happened over there? Because we did not transform our data. Here we are transforming our data, so this promoted header step is already added over here. Now the next thing is it has already updated the data types of our rows as well, right? So by default data type is usually text. Here you can see this is the date data type, so it has automatically converted it into date data type. Okay, just a second, let me drop it down. Okay, so now whatever step I'll apply from now to onwards over here on my data from any of these menu steps, that will be added over here. At any time I can remove the step that I have taken, right? So for example, just for the sake of example, if I'll come over here in order ID table, in order ID column, and I say I want to split this column based upon this hyphen, this dash sign, right? So I want to have CA or whatever is the code, US or whatever. Do we have any other code? Okay, so whatever the code we have over here will be separated. 2016 will be, or 2019, 17, whatever it is, will be separated, and this ID number will be separated, right? So I'll come to here, I'll say split column, split by delimiter. As usual, we did it before as well. And from here it says which delimiter do you want to select, colon, comma. So it has automatically detected that there is no such delimiter over there in that column, and it has also detected that there is a hyphen sign over there, right? This dash sign. So do you want to split your column based upon this hyphen sign? Yes. Now do I want to do it from leftmost delimiter? What do we mean by that? It means that it will only split my column based upon the delimiter, based upon the dash sign that is at left hand side, right? So if I'll simply click on OK, what will happen? So you can see CA has been separated, but rest of the thing is same, 2016-15 whatever, right? And here you can see the step is added. Two steps are added. One is split column by delimiter, and the other one is changed data type, right? Because it has created a new column over here, actually over here, and it has updated their data type as well. So if I remove this step, I can simply click on this this cross sign and the step will be removed. Nothing changed because by default the data type was text, so it is again text. Now if I remove this step by clicking this cross sign, you will see, here we go, we got back our previous data, right? Now I'll come back over here, split column by delimiter, and here if I'll select rightmost, I hope you know what it will do, right? So I'll go for each occurrence. I want to split the whole data, the whole column, wherever you will find this delimiter, right? So I'll go for OK, and here we go. CA is separated, 2016 is separated, and this one is also separated. Now I'll again go back and remove this option from here. I'll again come back to my original column. Now I'll go back to split column, and I can also split the column and by the way, I can split the column based upon any other delimiter as well. For example, if I go for order date, I'll go for split column by delimiter. Now you can see it has automatically detected this what you say, slash sign, right? So I can split my column based upon this slash sign as well. If I say OK, so here we go, right? The day is separated, month is separated, and the year is also separated. Now I can name these columns separately as date, year, and blah 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 blah, right? So I'll revert this step once again. Cool. Okay, now if I go to split column again, I have a lot of options over here. You can explore these options by yourself as well. These options are self-explanatory. So if I say by number of characters, right, I'll come over here. Here I can mention how many characters do I want to separate out. So let's say I want to separate out 2 characters, right? So it says repeatedly after every 2 characters do you want to make create a new column? No, once as far left as possible, right? So I want to create one column only once, starting from left hand side, right? I'll say okay, and it is taking some. Here we go. So 2 characters are separated, that is CA, and the rest of the column, rest of the text is exactly same over here as you can see, right? So I'll again revert this step as well, and I'll go to, actually I'll first of all I'll revert the step. Okay, so I'll go to split column, and now I can split on the basis of position as well, right? So for example, if I mention starting from 0 ending on position, let's say 3, go okay. So here we go. So this is position 0, index number 0. So 0, 1, 2. From third position, it is separated, right? So you can separate your column based upon the position number as well. I'll once again revert it. Okay, now you can have a look into the other columns as well, and you can perform such a step at any column you want, right? For example, here the country region, it says United States. I don't want to show United States completely, I just want to show US. I'll go to transform, I'll say replace values, and here I need to write the value, so I'll simply copy and paste it. Copy this. Okay, so I'll come over here, replace value, find United States, replace it with US. So all the United States is replaced with US. Great, cool. Okay, moreover, I mean, in short, you can do whatever you want to do over here from your perspective. So far we have only explored the option of split column. Now it is your job to explore what are these options. If you just hover over any option over here, you can also have a look at the tooltip, and they are showing the documentation for that particular option, right? So if I come over here, it shows that split values in the selected column based on transitions from a digit to a non-digit character, right? So I'll highly suggest you guys to take this thing as a homework and work with these lower 4 options alongside with these first 3 options as well.